Welcome to a fun tutorial in CreateStudio, where I'll show you how to turn text, shapes, SVGs, and images into charming doodle-style artwork. Join me and discover how to add a playful touch to your creations with the Doodle Effect. This tutorial is about turning ordinary elements into delightful hand-drawn masterpieces. Let's start this creative adventure together.
So I've got this text element on my timeline and I'm thinking, wouldn't it be awesome to give it a cool doodle effect? First things first, I head up here to the effects and components section. Grabbing the doodle effect, I can either drop it directly onto the canvas or place it right over my text element on the timeline. Boom! The effects instantly added to my text. Now to tweak the doodle settings, I just click where it says doodle or here under drawing. Before I start fine-tuning, let me quickly play the default doodle effect for you to see how it kicks off. Not quite the professional vibe I'm going for. The drawing speed's a bit too swift. To adjust that, I simply extend the effect's duration right here on the text element. Let's hit play again. Still not hitting the mark. The handshaking feels a tad too strong. Time to head into settings and tone down the shaking intensity. Give me a sec for another round. Not quite there yet. For a slick doodle effect that really pops in your video, it takes a smidge of tweaking. Back into the drawing settings, this time switching to manual. Here's where the magic happens. I hit edit path. The default path isn't cutting it for me, so I'll clear that out and add my own. Luckily, there are handy instructions right here to guide you through adding your custom path. Let's zoom in a bit and get ready to create our new drawing path. I'll start by adding path points. Just hold down the Control key and click away. The drawing size seems a tad too big. Let's tweak that a bit. There we go. Adjusted. Now, I'll keep adding points to craft our fresh drawing path. While I'm at it, I can shuffle these points around to get them just right. Oh, and a quick tip. Try not to overlap the new path with the next letter. Trust me, it won't look as cool when the drawing animation kicks in. Once I've covered the first letter, I'll smoothly move on to the next one, continuing to craft this new path. It's always smart to double check the path and tweak those points where the letter isn't fully covered. As I add more points, it's like connecting the dots to cover all the letters in my text. You probably catch the drift, so I'll speed up this part. Voila! The new path's all set. Now, a quick click on finish. And it's time to check out the result. Let's hit play. Needs a little fine-tuning. I'll dial the hand size value down to 40 and drop the shaking to a gentle 2. I'll extend the drawing effect on the text element for its full duration. Now let's take another peek. Much better. That's how you give your text some serious animated flair using the doodle effect. Okay, let's dive into another cool text doodle effect. First off, into the settings we go. I've dialed the text's fill color transparency down to 0 and set the border color to white with a width of 10. Up to the effects and components, I snag the doodle effect and drop it right onto my text here on the canvas. Instantly, the drawing settings pop up, but before we dive deeper, let me show you the default drawing of the text. Not quite what I'm aiming for in my video. Let's try extending the time duration of the doodle effect on this text to slow down the drawing. Nope, that didn't quite do it. Time for manual mode. Switching from automatic drawing, I'll click to edit the path. See this automatic path added to my text? Clearing that out to create my own. Quick reminder, I'm using Control-click to add path points and craft my own doodle effect path. Zooming in for a closer look, I'll start by placing my first point. Oh, the draw size is a bit wide. Let's tweak that down to about 6%. Now adding more points to craft my custom drawing path. And remember, careful not to overlap the path onto the next letter. You don't want parts of the next letter showing up before it's drawn. Outside borders done. Moving on to the inner border of the letter, adding points to cover this part too. Once I finish one letter, I'll continue the same path to the next. Quick tip. Don't fret if your path crosses over the intersected sections already drawn by the effect, so no worries about visual impacts when the hand moves to the next letter. Let's fast forward a bit as I create this new drawing path. And done. Just a click on Finish. I'll tweak the hand size to 40 and drop the shaking to a gentle 1%, extending the drawing effect duration on the text element too. Now, let's take another peek. Looks fantastic. And remember, you've got control over the doodle effect's time length to adjust the drawing speed on screen. Alright, on to our next example. Check this out. I've got this square here. The color feels totally transparent, and I've got this zesty, bright green border going on. Heading over to the effects section, I'm just going to drop that doodle effect smack onto my square. Boom! Doodle effect applied. Settings panels popped up, but before I dive into adjustments, let's see how the default automatic doodle effect looks on this shape. Not quite vibing with my video, time for some tweaks. For this doodle magic, I don't need to show the hand drawing, so let's switch that off. Then, it's off to manual mode, clicking Edit Path. This default drawing path won't cut it for my square, so let's clear that out. Remember, you've got handy instructions right here on adding or removing path points. Zooming in a bit, I'll start by dropping my first point to craft a fresh drawing path for my square's border. The draw size seems a bit hefty, so I'll dial that down to 58. Now let's keep adding points to complete the entire border. Last point added. Click Finish. Let's hit play and see how this baby looks. Looking sharp. Now what if I fancy a reverse doodle animation, like erasing the square shape? Simple as pie. Back to the doodle effect settings. I'll switch from drawing to erasing mode. Just flick that switch for erasing mode on top. Boom. Erasing effect added to my square here on the timeline. First step, toggle off the show hand option. Then switch from automatic to manual up here. Click Edit Path, clearing out that zigzag automated path and setting the draw size at 58. Now, since it's an erasing gig, I'll add the path points in the opposite direction. Once my custom path's all set, just a click on Finish. And now, let's sneak a peek and see this doodle animation in action. For my next doodle effect, I'm going with an icon, the classic car icon. Here's how you can grab it. Head to the media folder, find the stock media section, and dive into the SVGs. That's where the treasure trove of icons lies. I searched for car and voila, a bunch of car icons right at my fingertips. Now, here's where the fun begins. I'll be doing the whole routine of clearing out the automatic drawing path and creating my own for both the drawing and erasing effects. I'll fast forward through this whole process and catch up with you when it's all wrapped up. just finished. Now, let's fire it up and see how this cool doodle effect turned out. The next example, I chose it to be an image. I go on and add the doodle effect on my image here. And if I go and play this for you to see the default doodle effect, to reveal this image, you will notice that it doesn't look very professional. Even if I go on and choose to hide the drawing hand and hit play, looking a little bit better, but still not good enough. When working with images, it is more advised to use a fade in animation instead of choosing a doodle effect. So, I'll go here to motion and choose fade and fade in. Let's extend the motion preset a little bit and let's play this to see the difference. And now if I play both at the same time, which one is more appealing to you as a viewer? I believe the fade in looks more professional. Time for our next example, and this time we're diving into another image trick. Now, here's the twist. I've got two copies of the same image, and I'll explain why in just a sec. First things first, I'm dropping that doodle effect onto the top image and stretching out the drawing effect a bit. Let's hit play on the automatic doodle effect applied to this image. Oh, and I'll drag the second image below so you can get a clearer view of the effect in action. Not quite what I'm aiming for here. Time to head into the settings. First, I'm hiding the drawing hand, then switching to manual mode and hitting edit path. For this example, I don't need a complete clear out of the existing path. I'll just trim down some unnecessary points from the drawing path following these instructions using Shift, Control, and click. Shift and Control held down while clicking to remove those unwanted points. Then, releasing Shift and Control, I'll reposition the remaining points with a click. Snip snip, removing the last 3 points too. This refined path will create a doodle animation showcasing just this specific area of my image. Click finish and let's get a sneak peek. Not too shabby, but did you catch how the rest of the image pops in right after the effect ends? Not my style. Let's tweak that. I'll trim the image here on the timeline and snug it up to match the added doodle effect. Now, let's welcome back the second image. With this one selected, I'll opt for a fancy motion preset, fade in, aligning the fade in animation on the timeline to match the same duration as the doodle effect on the top image. Let's hit play and watch the magic unfold. Looks magical indeed. This approach is a real game changer when working with the doodle effect on images. And that's a wrap on our doodle effect journey in CreateStudio. Remember, the power to infuse creativity and charm into your content is now in your hands. Experiment, explore, and let your imagination run wild with these fantastic doodle effects. Whether it's text, shapes, icons, or images, you've learned how to wield the doodle effect to breathe life into your creations. So, go ahead, dive into your projects and sprinkle that doodle magic to make your videos truly stand out. Thanks for joining me on this exciting adventure. Keep creating and have fun doodling your way to captivating videos.